Jim. He's dead.
This is Improv Autopsy. I'm your host, Stephen Cadwell. Welcome to my interview with Ian Covell. During my tenure at SAC Comedy Lab in Orlando, some friends and I put some energy into creating what would be called The Early Show, which was a late-night long-form show at the lab. At some point in this process, Ian showed up. That's what it seemed like from my perspective, though the truth of the matter is that Ian had already been there. He was already an ensemble member, and he'd already co-founded the sketch group Them. His various other gigs, including his work at Universal Studios Orlando, had kept him away from the lab, but he wasn't as new as he seemed to me. Ian is responsible for some of the most memorable scenes I've seen at SAC, and some of them I was also in. I would describe his onstage persona as playfully antagonistic, and in many ways I'm envious. Ian is an improv-free radical. Ian can get away with pretty much anything on stage because his persona allows the audience to believe that he might just do those things in real life. He moved to Atlanta in 2010, founded Highwire Comedy Company in 2012, where he applied all of the lessons he had learned and all the experiences he had gathered in improv. During its tenure, Highwire was a space that truly supported and fostered creativity. He is a pleasure to play with and was a pleasure to interview. Please enjoy Ian Covell's Improv Autopsy. How you doing? It's been a long time.
I'm doing great. It has been a long time. It's been a decade, man.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen you since you moved, and you moved before I moved, right?
Yeah. 2012 is when I moved. Yeah, I think you did move before that, didn't you?
Oh,
you went to
yeah.
Did you? Maybe around the same time.
Yeah, maybe around the same time.
Yeah.
Are you back in Atlanta? Did I hear that?
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta. I've been in Atlanta since 2012.
Awesome. Thank you for doing this, by the way. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
I had been trying to reach out to you, or you were my elusive guest because I didn't know how to contact you, and I threw some, Hail Marys, and nothing came of them. And then the other day, Kay was like, Ian followed you on Instagram. We finally have a lead we can follow.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I just don't ever get on social media, and I was just kind of going through. I've been snowed in, so I was on my phone, just going through notifications. Like, oh, okay, Steven, hey,
nice. So the snow did do something good in Georgia.
Yeah.
So, Ian, I like to start with sort of what was your first encounter with improv? When did improv enter your consciousness?
It was SAC Comedy Lab when I was probably 17, maybe 18. I had gone to see a show. I was walking around downtown one day, and I saw this building on the corner. It was the old location, the original location. And on the corner, there were some people in a window, and they were kind of putting together, if I remember correctly, maybe like a funny mannequin or something. And then there was a sign that said SAC Comedy Lab. And I was like, what's a comedy lab? Like that just I didn't know what that was. And then I was like, okay, this is like a theater. And I didn't know what improv was. So, but I was really into comedy. I was a comedy nerd already at that point. And I was like, oh, wow, this is something that's happening right here in Orlando. So I went to it, and I was really lucky because I got to see all the original cast. I got to see, Joel McCrary and Claire Sarah and Wayne Brady and Dan O'Sullivan and Jonathan Mangum. I know I'm missing Morgan. Was it Morgan? Who else am I? I'm missing a couple of people there. I know I am. Was there a Clark?
Yeah.
I think there was a Clark. Yeah, Clark.
Clark was definitely there when I was there, so I don't know when he got connected.
Yeah, and of course Dave.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just phenomenal, dude. I mean,
was Lyle there?
And Lyle came a little later, and they had a band. They had a full band off to the corner, like a piano and a guitar and a drummer. And it was great because it was this really tiny theater with a support structure right in the middle of the audience. So there were like 6 seats that were terrible. Well, 4 or 5 seats, but it was amazing. And I saw it, and I remember because I had already done a little bit of theater, and I remember seeing it, and I was just blown away. I was like, holy crap, like you don't have to learn lines and you can do that? I was blown away. And they had classes. This is a long answer. I'm sorry, but they had classes and I tried to sign up, and no one ever returned my phone call. And and
Not a great business model.
yeah, it wasn't. It was, and then I went to as many shows as I could because I was leaving to go to school in Tallahassee. I go to school in Tallahassee. I meet what's called the Whammo Players, who later become Dad's Garage, and that is Matt Stanton and a few other guys. And anyways, things happened, and I went back to Orlando, and then finally, someone did return my phone call for classes. And around 19 is when I finally got into a SAC class, and I'm pretty sure it was Dano was probably my first. It's probably my first teacher. I think I still have a letter of recommendation for a theater program that he wrote for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, did you not stay in Tallahassee for school, or were the classes on summer break?
I stayed there for like 2, 3 semesters. Yeah, and then came back to Orlando.
Now, the folks with Whammo, did you do improv with them up there, or?
No, they had like a workshop up there, and I was really hungry because there was nothing. There was no internet. There was no YouTube. There was nothing. And so I went to every Whammo player show I could go to. They did a show at this place called the Wild Pizza. It was in the student union, and they would do a show. I want to say it was Saturday nights, maybe Sunday nights. And again, it was like I was like, wow, it was like a more punk rock version of what I'd seen in Orlando, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. And I really wanted to do it, but I didn't even know how to begin. And I went to the library there at school, the Strozier Library. They had a book by John Ritter, and I want to say it was called like How to Start Your Own Improv Group. And I read it. I must have read it 50 times. I would check it out over and over and over and over and over. And then I would read Impro from Keith Johnstone, and only part of it would make sense. Like it started getting into the mask stuff, and I was like, "What is this?" I'm like, "I can't even make sense of this." All right, where's the funny? I really, to this day, I don't think I really ever understood Impro. I mean, I love theater sports, but the book is very confusing.
Yeah. So, were the Whammo people were they also doing theater sports, or was that were they doing long form, or what were they doing?
Yeah, they were doing theater sports. Yeah, long form. I didn't see long form until I got up to Canada. I'd heard of it, right? Because again, I'm doing this is the '90s, and so I mean, you'd heard of Chicago, and you'd heard the name Del Close, and I'd heard Herald, right? We thought it was a herald, and I was like, oh, like a trumpeter. But I had no idea what it was. And then I was doing a lot of sketch comedy, and because we knew what that was, and lots of points of reference for that. So we were doing. I had a team. I had a group of guys that I worked with that I'd met at SAC, and we started doing sketch comedy. And we brought a show on tour through the Canadian Fringe Festival. We did like 4 festivals, and while we were there, we got a little closer to the source. And so I met some improvisers that were, a lot of Canadians came to see our show, and they were like, and this is literally what one of them said is like, I feel a little guilty because we came because we saw you were from Florida. So we kind of came to laugh at you, but your show was funny. So, and so, and so we learned a lot. We were watching these guys do improvised movies, and we were blown away. We were like, holy crap, like this just opened a whole new world for us. So we were doing long form like that probably for 4, 5, maybe 6 years before I'd even attempted anything Chicago style. So no, so long form, it took a little while for me to get exposed to long form. So I'm sorry, what was that? What was the question about long form again?
Whether or not Whammo was doing it, and then
Oh, yeah, no, they weren't doing it.
yeah.
So no. So then no, they weren't doing it. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's great.
I don't get to talk about this stuff. It's all of a sudden, all these memories are coming back, Steve, and I'm like, holy crap, I haven't thought of this stuff in, I mean, forever. So no, they weren't doing any kind of long form. It took a long time for me to see it, and I think we were doing it. However, we reinvented it for our own needs.
Sure.
For a while. So,
well, okay, so go back. Let's back up a little bit. I think backing up. So just so I get the timeline. Yeah. So 17, you see some shows at SAC. You don't actually get into classes until 19. Do you remember who your instructors were?
Yeah, Dano and Wayne and Lyle. And I had Lyle a couple of times.
Okay.
Lyle was actually pretty like Lyle was a I felt Lyle had my back a few times when I was coming up through SAC, and he helped get me a job at Universal too. I like Lyle. He's a good guy.
Yes,
He's helped me out.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
So he would have been probably level 4 then for you as well, or at least he was in the mix twice.
Yeah, Lyle had come from Canada, and so they're like, "Oh, here's this guy from Canada," because someone had left. I don't remember who it was. They had an opening in the main cast. Someone had left, and there was this big there's this big murmur like, "Oh, who's it going to be? Who who's who's going to be replaced?" And Joel McCrary comes out because I mean they obviously are like, "Oh shit, this rumor's going around." So there's this damage control that needs to be done, and this is all hindsight 2020, you know. So they call everyone at that point in time. It was called the next generation.
Yeah.
So they call everyone in from the next generation. We all huddle into the theater, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is going to be the announcement. Oh, they're gonna. This is." And they all sit up. Joel steps forward, and Joel goes, "You know, in the NBA," and he starts explaining like basically how a sports organization is structured and how you don't just pull someone from the bench, the next person on the bench. You know, you have there's something called chemistry, and you have to see how people play together, and it's not just like it's not just you know it's not just a succession sort of system. So it was a very valuable lesson because everyone left, I think, getting the message. At least I did. I'm sure there were a couple of people who were like, "Oh, wasn't talking to me," but I think Lyle was the guy who ended up coming in, which had to be a lot of pressure. I mean, he might not even have realized it, but I'm sure there were lots of people sitting there. I mean, improv's full of people who love each other, but at the same time, they all want to get on stage too, Steve.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Lyle under pressure.
Yeah, I know, and that's yeah, it's funny. Yeah, he's very stoic. Is that a good?
Yeah, that works. Yeah.
Yeah, thoughtful, pensive.
Yeah. Thoughtful. So from level 4, you made it into Gen S, which was there was no lab rats at the time, right? It was just next gen.
That's correct. Yeah, it was no such thing as lab rats, and I don't remember when that happened, but that was after I was gone for the first time.
And then how long did it take you to get into ensemble?
So this group I started doing shows with, I'd met some guys that I'd really clicked with, and we started doing shows together at a coffee shop by UCF. And at the time, for whatever reason, it was frowned upon. And it's all water under the bridge, but it was sort of an ultimatum. It was like, well, you know, you either do those shows at, and it was sort of one person who gave us the ultimatum. You either do the shows at the coffee shop or you do them here. And the quote I will never forget is because you're diluting the quality of improv in Orlando. And I was like, but we're the only other improv in Orlando. I mean, anyway, so it's just very funny. And it was actually one of the best things that could have ever happened to us. Absolutely amazing thing to get kicked out, or not get kicked out, to be given an ultimatum. Because we all kind of melt, and we're like, yeah, did you have the conversation? Yeah, I had the conversation. And so, well, what did you say? It's like, well, I said I wanted to perform with you guys. And it was like, all right, so we're a team. And I worked with those guys for almost 10 years. So, long story short, is then a few years pass. You know, there's some friendly rivalry, of course, that begins through those few years, right? I still have friends over there, but we're kind of like, oh, you're over there. We're the outcasts. So there's a little bit of that, but it was all friendly. And the person who gave that ultimatum sort of moved on. A person who was friendly to us became the new decision maker. Trying to be very diplomatic, because it doesn't bother me. It became the new decision maker, and that person immediately said, "Why don't you guys come back?" And that's how I got into the ensemble.
Okay. So that group of guys, are they the group that you wrote with and then did the Canada Fringe Circuit with? Is that the same group?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
How long were you outside of the sax sphere? You said was it
It's a few years. I
okay?
want to say it was 3 or 4 years, maybe.
And in that time, you wrote the sketch, you did the thing, and you saw the long form, and just so I get my timeline straight.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and then we would do shows at the Fringe Festival, and then there was a place just outside of downtown called Performance Space Orlando, which
Great,
was an
great name.
right. It was an art gallery, a hair salon, and then a black box theater.
Well, maybe the name wasn't so great.
and and did shows there for a long, long time. Yeah, but then after a while, it was back at SAC and back on the schedule and working at Universal and that kind of stuff.
What was the name? Your group of guys? You were doing improv at the coffee shop there near UCF.
Hmm.
What was the name of your group?
That was called Them.
Oh, okay, okay. I think I had heard of them.
Yeah, it was really fun to play with. It was fun to play. It was a fun name to play with.
Yeah.
For stuff. Yeah.
When 6 Degrees first got started, there was no ultimatum, but it was still sort of a you just got the sense when you were there that being in the outside group was frowned upon. Like there were no
Yeah.
obvious repercussions. And then the same
Right.
thing when Offsides got going is there was just this feeling of you guys, you've betrayed us somehow.
Mhm.
But no like actual ultimatum. So when you were told either do it here or we'll ostracize you or however that went, did that
Mhm.
imply that they would give you space to do it there, or were they just saying do it within our structure? We're not going to give you time.
Yeah, that's what I was led to believe was do it within our structure. And it was, it was one of these things where for whatever reason, there'd been a summer where, because it was on Thursday nights, it was the next gen, and there'd be six of us on stage, and there were five of us in this group. And for whatever reason, they were always casting the five of us and then some other person together. And it was like this over and over and over. And then we were just like, well, this isn't enough. We want to do more.
Yeah.
And so I think, I don't know. You never know what. I'm going to give everyone the benefit of the doubt here. People are just trying to because I've run a theater, so you're just trying to make the best decisions you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know.
And yeah, I mean, you're thinking about more than the performers are thinking about. Obviously,
Mhm.
you're trying to keep your bottom line
Yeah.
healthy and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got back in, and for some reason, and I knew that there was some sort of Dad's Garage connection, and maybe that was just you meeting those guys. But for some reason, I thought you came to us from Atlanta because you weren't present much as I was going through, and I think you were on the schedule more. Or you were getting scheduled again after I had made it to Ensemble, if I'm remembering correctly.
So I had left LA and I'd been in Atlanta for a month when I came back to Orlando because my family was up here. So no, it was, but I essentially came from LA.
Okay, when did you move to LA?
September 10th, 2001.
Oh,
Yeah.
good timing.
That's great timing, man. It was really good timing. I drove across the country on September 11th. There's the only car on the road. There's nobody else was driving. Yeah. So anyway, so I when I left LA, I actually had run into Dave I'd come back for a fringe festival because I was thinking about leaving LA. Anyways, I come back for a fringe festival just to visit some friends and stuff, and I just ran into Dave. He probably doesn't even remember this conversation, but I said, "Hey," and he had kind of there's a bunch of people who've been at SAC that have gone out to LA, and you kind of get the shit beat out of you, and you come back, and it's like, "Well, I'm back." And I think there's a kind of a commiseration that goes on. So anyway, so Dave just said to me, he goes, "Oh, are you back? Are you thinking about moving back? Because we could use you." And I was like, "No, I hadn't really thought about moving," and that kind of put the bug in my ear to kind of. I was like, "Yeah, maybe I should move back." It's kind of that's the first time someone has said that they needed me in a long time. So, man, so Dave, thank you if you ever listen to this. Thank you for needing me. Uh,
And how long were you out in LA then?
it's like 7-ish, 8-ish years, something like that.
Okay. And did
Yeah.
you do any improv when you were out there?
I did a little bit. I did a little bit of IO and I studied a little bit at UCB. When I got out to LA, I had already done so much improv that I got to say my ego got in the way because I was like, what the fuck? I'm sorry. I'm like, what the heck? What am I? I'm doing.
You can cuss, it's fine.
Because, all right. So what am I doing here with all these beginners? Like, I'm a SAC ensemble member for crying out loud.
Yeah.
What am I doing here? And I started to get more, and I'd gone out there anyways for acting, for film and TV. And so I did more, I started doing more stuff like Channel 101 and more video comedy, sketch comedy like that is really where I put a lot of my focus when I was out there.
Okay.
LA is not a very good live performance town. I'll just be honest. I'm kind of a snob. In Orlando, it's pretty, in my opinion, it's pretty world class. The people who sing and dance at SAC are like the people who sing and dance that are singing out of the theme parks is pretty amazing.
Yeah. It's a great talent pool.
Really amazing talent pool. So I really was focused more on film and TV and writing and trying to audition for that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about in terms of the class and stuff. Because when we went to Chicago, that was it. I mean, we kind of resigned ourselves to that. That hey, no one there knows SAC.
Right.
We're nobody in Chicago, so we have to start at the bottom and kind of do the thing. Some of it was fine, some of it wasn't.
Yeah.
So you came back to SAC then, and I believe I was in ensemble by that point, right?
Mhm.
Was that before or after early show started?
I want to say early show, I think it started pretty closely after I came back.
Okay.
I think it was sort of I came back and Chris was like, hey, there's some guys and we like to do long form and we meet on Wednesdays maybe or something.
Yeah.
And we just started doing, it was like, all right. And then in that group is somehow where we became the early show.
Yeah. Okay. So then you're back at the lab, and then you said you left in 2012, and that was for Atlanta?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that's where you had your theater, right?
Yes.
And is that still a thing, or?
No, that closed in like March 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're in Atlanta still.
Mhm.
Are you still doing improv, or are you still performing?
So it's funny. I will be soon. I still do a show with a guy that I love doing shows with. He's my improv partner, a guy named Josh. We do a show called Stuck in Here with Josh and Ian. It's a show where we just try to bring as many characters as possible into every scene. Like every time we get bored, we just create a new character and have them enter. It's really just, it's two guys who've been doing improv for like 20 plus years that just want to do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
So I do that show with him, and that's very fun because I know he'll support just about any idea. But the improv world in Atlanta, it's just so shaken up. It hit its peak in like 2017, 18. There were probably 6 theaters around here. And then as COVID drew closer and hit, they just all started dropping like flies.
Yeah.
So now it's really back to exactly what it was the summer after the Olympics. It's whole world in Dad's garage. And there's a small theater called the Dynamic El Dorado, very small. Like I want to say like 25, 35 seats, very, very small. Really focuses on training. And it's literally right across the street from Dad's. But one of my friends, there was a theater. Do you remember a theater called the Village Theater?
No.
No, that was a theater that was here. Anyways, this is fun. Keep up with me with this shell game. So this place called Relapse Theater and this place called Village Theater were 2 rivals. Relapse Theater ended up closing and reopening and closing and reopening and then finally closed. The Village Theater kind of thrived for a while and it closed. And then my buddy who ran Relapse Theater has now bought the Village Theater and is reopening it. So imagine like if IO went in and bought UCB and then just put the IO name on it. Right. So I will be doing stuff over there. I've been talking to him a lot about it. So I'll be doing stuff over there. But mainly, I was doing film and TV acting, and I'm taking kind of a break from doing that. And I'm really just focusing on I'm working on producing stuff. That's my big
Okay.
thing.
Has the egress of Marvel affected has that because that there's been some evolution there too, right, in the filming community in Atlanta? Has that paralleled the improv thing at all? Like, does it, oh, well, there's fewer filming opportunities in Atlanta, and that affected the improv theaters in terms of either talent or interest, or is that not a connection there at all?
It's not the connection you'd think it is. I'm not really, I don't go out and audition for things anymore. But my friends who do say that, yeah, there's fewer stuff, fewer projects that are out there. As far as how that affected, it was hard for me at least because I would have these improv for actors classes and then kind of improv for everybody classes. And it was hard to get the two groups to kind of overlap. You'd have a few that would make it, but also what's challenging, what I find challenging, and again, I'm speaking of the snapshot I'm kind of referencing is like the 2018 world. But what I had sort of issues with were it was there weren't many great examples of world-class improv in Atlanta for people to watch, for students to watch. You get spoiled when you grow up in a place like Orlando or you go to Chicago or LA. And New York is actually even kind of, I mean, it's probably ahead of it now, but for a long time, New York had no improv scene. And Atlanta just doesn't have, it's got Dad's Garage, and I'm speaking of like long form. So it didn't have, and Dad's Garage doesn't do Heralds or they don't do that Chicago style,
Yeah.
right? So you're not going to really get that over there. And then Whole World does its own thing. Whole World, I like it. I like their approach because it's like a quality control approach to improv. They basically do short scenes and then they fill in a few suggestions. And so it's sort of like I don't mean to be derogatory when I say it's like Mad Libs. It is. It's a little bit like Mad Libs, but I mean, if you're an improviser, it still should be fun to play. There's still plenty of things to discover,
Yeah.
and the audience feels safer because they know what the hell is going on. Uh, but yeah, there's not tons and tons of live improv that I would recommend for students to see in Atlanta. It's like, oh, that's amazing. Like you have to go see that. Like that's TJ and Dave, or that's the original UCB cast,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have that here.
When you say quality control, when you're talking about Whole World, do you mean because they nothing goes long enough without some sort of interruption or injection that it can go way off the rails or become too pretentious or whatever?
Yeah, they sort of get like they'll get suggestions like, okay, look at these two people and how do they know each other? Okay, one of them is keeping a secret from the other person. What is that secret, right?
Okay, okay.
So they might get like these really fun and I think some purists go, well, that's cheating. I just want a suggestion of triangle. It's like, all right, fine, but it's it's, all right, fine. But I mean, to me, I'm really as someone who has, like I said, been on the theater owner side of things. I'm very concerned about what the audience is experiencing when they're sitting down and watching a show.
Yeah,
That's it. Everything down to like, hey man, can you not wear the shirt with like the ripped underarm next week? Like look like you dressed to be here. I'm not,
yeah,
that kind of, you start thinking about, you start to become like you start thinking about those things. And when I see a show like that, because, I ask people from time to time who have no experience with improv that are friends of mine, and I'll go, hey, so have you ever seen an improv show? Or people that I might meet that are newer acquaintances. You ever seen an improv show? Yeah. I'm like, what's the first word that comes to mind when you hear improv? And I hear this a lot. Amateur.
yeah,
Right. And I mean, that's a problem for the brand of improv.
yeah,
That's a hurdle to overcome when you're trying to get people to leave Netflix and come see your show.
yeah. What are your feelings about the theater thing now? Do you look back on that and think there are things I should have done? Do you look back on that and think, hey, we had a good run? Do you look back on that and think I never should have done that?
No, it was yeah. No, there are things I think I could have done differently. I think one of the big lessons I learned was there was a year. that I was in between theaters, and I had I had places to teach, and so what I did during that year is it kind of fanned out across the city, and I started getting to know venue owners, all kinds of different venue owners, and I just had shows going on throughout the city with the High Wire name. And the dumbest thing I ever did was get a theater. I should have just done that. Now it's risky because you do run it. I say that now, but then there are the nights you show up to do your show and you're like, hey guys, I've got 100 tickets sold and there's a wedding party in the room. What's going on? Oh, we double booked. And I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, you guys, you're gonna have to help me figure this out, right? So that kind of stuff comes with like not having your own venue. I learned a lot. Let me put it that way. But I think I would have done that because it's having the theater and having all that time and space to fill it's brutal. It's brutal. Trying to come up with all that stuff, keep all those people happy.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you keep pulling people aside and saying, "Look, you can either do it here or never perform here."
See, now I had the opposite. I did the opposite. So I had I no now I've taken that lesson with me throughout my entire career. And I have actually had the opposite conversation where someone felt they weren't getting what they deserved out of the theater. And I had the conversation. I said, well, look, as a theater owner, listen, I'm going to be brutally honest here. My answer is I can't give you something I don't have. So it's just going to keep causing friction between us if you continue to ask me because I just don't have the thing you keep asking me for.
Yeah.
Now, as your friend, as a person who's known you for several years, it sounds like you don't feel valued here. So I would say you need to go find some place or something that makes you feel valued. And then, so I always made it easy for people to leave. I didn't want anyone to stay or feel disgruntled. If you were, it's like, look, that was something I experienced. You experience that every place you go in an improv theater, sort of like, behind all the happy stuff, there is all the kind of like, I want to get my stage time.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of competition behind it. And my feeling was always like, look, why are you competing? Why are you trying to cram yourself into something? If it's just not gelling, like go find some friends and go do a show someplace.
Yeah.
It's not the location, it's who you're on stage with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was Highwire, did you do short form, long form, both?
We did both, and we did sketch and we did stand up.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, the stand up was great. I mean, dude, I was actually talking to Dinger about this the other day. I was like, man, my stand up classes, those grad shows, sellouts all the time. Everyone wants to see their friend do 5 minutes of stand up comedy. Everybody. Right. And Chris was saying that those were some of the best ones that he has as well. Yeah, people want to come out and see their friends perform on stage.
Yeah.
More than professionals these days.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes your friends are as good as some of the professionals nowadays.
That's true. I know. The internet will show you, the comment section will show you that there are a lot of funny people out there.
I recently was in Cleveland and went to Imposter Theater, and that's kind of their model too. I think they have some stand up, they have some sketch, and they do some improv. It's like more of a like comedy theater instead of improv theater.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I mean, I'm, as a lover of improv, I have mixed feelings about that kind of thing, but not really. I mean, it's like kind of, but I'm like, well, no. I mean, I'm also a lover of comedy, and you want to fill your theater, so you don't want to paint yourself into a corner. No, we're only going to do.
Yeah. I think I saw you doing some stand up there tonight, Stephen.
Oh, no.
No, I think I did. Did you have a microphone in your hand during that scene?
It was just a setup. It was just setting up an improv scene. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a silly thing to parse, but, I saw one of their shows, and then, performed there on their Sunday night, forms night, where it's kind of a hodgepodge of, experimental kind of stuff.
Cool.
But the show that I saw was mostly stand-ups. I think 2 improv groups, maybe just one. And, but the stand-up was good. and one of them was a regional. His thing was that one of his jokes, but also in his introduction, was that he like won some best stand up in some small town in south of Cleveland, Ohio, like 7 years ago. But they were all a lot of fun. So the other side of that is you go to some and you're like, hey, we've got, and it's all like just the open mic people that are
Mhm.
doing the stand up at the theater. And like, well, I don't, if that's all it was, I wouldn't want. I was like, I think we can do better than that. So you have to vet, but I digress. So and so the theaters then, the Whole World and Dad's Garage, do they also, is it a mix of short form and long form, or are they predominantly one or the other?
I gotta be honest, whole world, it's all short form. And at dad's, I would be just kind of making it up. I don't know.
Okay.
I ran into a bunch of, went to a small theater festival and ran into a bunch of improvisers my age. And I was part of the young group of improvisers for so long, Stephen. I was in the next generation,
Yeah.
Stephen.
Yeah.
I'm still young. No, we're all looking older. Everyone's everyone has a limp. Uh, no one's doing physical. Everyone's finding a quick reason to sit down in the scene as fast as possible. And once I've sat in the scene, please don't make me get up. So I don't know. I'm very, very unplugged. I am going to start teaching again, so that'll be interesting.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I figure I don't know anybody real. I figure what I used to do, and I'll try this again. There's got to be some version of Groupon out there, or Meetup,
Yeah, yeah,
and I just would throw out like a Meetup advertisement, do like free, come take a free class until you get enough people to sign up.
yeah.
You do that every Saturday until you get enough people to take a class. You know,
I'm trying to get something up here. I wish that would. South Bend is big enough to be a city, but it's not like, I mean, it's not like Atlanta. So I'm trying to get something like that here, and it's the biggest conundrum because I've put it out there a couple of times. Hey, improv class. I tried it at the library,
Mhm.
and the lady at the library afterwards, she said, yeah, she said, so and so came, didn't they? And I said, yeah. She's like, yeah, I thought about warning you about them, but
Oh
then
wow.
but I didn't. She's like, they end up going to everything that the library offers. They were unique people. I think if she would have warned me, I would have expected worse from them. But having taught, did you teach at SAC?
No, I never did teach at Zach.
Well, having just teaching classes, and especially at when you're not in control of letting people in, not that
Mhm.
you would need to be a gatekeeper of any kind, but you meet so many different types of people doing that,
Right.
it wasn't a huge deal to me that these
Right.
two very interesting people were a part of the
Oh
group, but
yeah.
they were also pretty much the only group. And then I tried it one other time and just nobody, oh no, maybe I had like two people. And it's the thing is like, well, do you do the free thing in hopes to gather people, or does that like, the old argument, well, then people say, well, it's free, must not have any value, so I'm not going to do that. And I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to get out there and get it exposed in front of people. What I always had luck with in the past was teaching classes to actors. Go to different acting schools. Just offer like a free workshop or say, hey, I'm going to do like a $5 drop in, and most acting teachers will. A lot of them, were nice about it and would help out. Yeah, but that's what I always found as well, because you just got to get the ball rolling. Once you get that first class, the momentum starts to take off. That then someone brings another friend or someone comes to see the grad show,
Yeah.
and like the first year I went out and taught, I had a really great spring, and then the summer hit, and it was my first summer. So I mean, everyone's on vacation, so I went a whole summer. I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna starve. Like, so everything I made all spring, I'm like, "Okay, summer's over. Thank you for the fu," and then I realized, okay, this is a seasonal thing. Yeah, I mean, it took a little while, but eventually, I mean, at the height of Highwire, I wasn't teaching all the classes at this point, but I think we had at the height of it, we had 12 or 14 classes going at the same time. We had quite a few students. It was pretty cool, man. It was a fun experience to kind of go
Yeah.
like, "Oh man, look what I made."
Yeah.
I mean, with the help of a lot of other people, but definitely it was like me starting at a friend's film studio, he had some space, and it was a very bizarre looking studio. I'll be honest. It looked a little bit like it could have been a porn set. Okay. Just the furniture was really gaudy, and it was like in this like sound stage area. And it was like you had to like go through a gate and then through a door with a keypad and then through another door with a lock and then finally into the studio. And so I would have to come and meet, young women who were going to take the class. And you're like, you're like the whole time you're like, okay, like I don't want to look creepy, because you don't want to come across as unsafe, right? So you're just like, and so you're like, hey, well, we're just going to go down this door and then this door. So you're telling them everything that you're doing and you're talking. So because I'm always the first time, like if I was some, young girl or some woman who'd signed up for this improv class, and this dude is taking me through this like this big chain link fence and through these locked doors, and now we do improv here in the studio with the giant blue couch, you know.
And it's just you and me.
And it's just you and me. It was a lot of trust that goes into building these first classes. But
yeah, I've seen enough Dateline, Ian. I don't think I would have followed you through all those doors.
Oh my God. Well, and then I had a guy who I intentionally did not answer his emails because I just got the vibe. I was like, this guy doesn't sound like he's going to be a good fit for the class. And he somehow got through all of those 4 doors and all that stuff and made it into the room in the middle of the first class. And, we were just about to take a break. And I remember afterwards, I was like, so why did you come to the class? Like you're an hour late. Like what's going on? He goes, well, I'm just here. Yeah, I just decided to come here. I thought this class would be a good place to meet girls. I was like, yeah, you're exactly what I don't need in this classroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you meet a lot of characters.
Yeah. Yes.
You meet a lot of characters. Yeah.
Okay, I have some Ian specific questions.
Okay.
In terms of my experience with you.
Okay.
And things that I remember that I need to see if you remember and can fill in some blanks.
Oh, sure.
I feel like there's more than one, but the biggest one that comes to mind is because I've told this story before because it's kind of it's part of the myth of Ian Covell at SAC. And so it was Amelia Street, SAC, and I don't remember the scene exactly. I was watching. I feel like I was in the house. I feel like that. Maybe I was on stage. I don't know. And you were either about to give or have started like an emotional monologue at the end of this scene or emotional thing. And I forget who was in the booth, but they black the lights out on you. And you say, no, 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 no. I am not done. And they bring the lights back up and you're like, okay, thank you. And then you're like, you tell the audience to stop clapping. You're like, no, I'm not done. Stop clapping. And then you open your mouth to speak again and they black it out on you again.
Yes.
You remember this?
Yes. Yes. Which is, I gotta be honest, like that's the guys in the booth. That was probably very likely could have been John Bolinas up there. The timing, I mean, that's such a beautiful. I mean, they made me look so good in that moment. I mean, yeah, what a beautiful. What I mean, honestly, what a way to take care of me in that moment because I put myself out there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like I really put it out there because that's a big risk. Like I remember that. And really kind of remembering like I did have something to say. And then like as they were quieting down, I was like, oh man, this might not have been a great idea. I mean, you really just because it's kind of like I kind of, we play together and I kind of will just jump into something and then go, oh, that was a fire. Okay, I guess I'm on fire now. But it's a fun way to play, and that's the way I like to play. And I mean, I wasn't expecting it, but it's also the thing, like when you think about what the audience experienced in that moment, come on. I mean, we looked like geniuses. Yeah. We looked like geniuses up there. But yeah, I was very well taken care of in that moment.
It was also one of those things where afterward, and I think you answered it, but I was like, was Ian actually upset? Upset and really genuinely wanted that scene to continue, or because it was such a perfect moment. It may have happened a third time. I don't remember. I definitely remember the two, but it was such a perfect and such a fun thing to remember.
I tell you what it was, Steven. It's one of these moments, right, where you're doing improv, right? And this is where I'm at. It's like, okay, if the audience saw me start to do something, if they saw me get up and begin to commit, they all saw it. It would have been more awkward for me not to say. I had to say something. You don't have a
Yeah.
choice, right? And look where it led. It led to you bringing it up, and it's some moment that you remember, and it was a complete accident.
Yeah. I'm sure. I mean, like I said, I believe I was in the house, and I think because it was one of those things that you can't write that, you can't do that on purpose. It's one of those things like that happens with improv, and it doesn't happen other places. Like and it happens with live improv.
Right.
It happens when
Right.
you're in the space, those kinds of things. I mean, that's up there. And I talked with Mike Carr about this when I interviewed Mike Carr, but that's up
Mhm.
there to me with the time that Mike Carr was going to call out the guy for being Santa Claus. And were you there for that?
I think I was for
Yeah,
this.
and he looked at the guy as he's starting to say, "Hey, we have a very special guest in the house tonight. You may have noticed him on the way in." And he's looking over there, and the guy's got a frown on his face, and he's just kind of like shaking his head. And Mike's like, "Oh crap, this guy does not want to be called out." And so he points to the guy in front of him and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, Dick Van Dyke," because he looked just a little bit like Dick Van Dyke. And I was like, "Mike, that was a colossal save. That was like unbelievable." And everyone in the audience thinks, oh, that must have been on
But
purpose or whatever. No, that's live theater, that's live improv, and it doesn't happen anywhere else.
and you get those moments at SAC because when you get into the ensemble at SAC and you start improvising in dog years. You are doing so many shows.
Yeah,
You are doing so many shows. And then if you're working at a theme park or something on top of that, you just think about how much you're just constantly on stage, constantly doing shows like it's nothing at that point. And that's where when you start to get into those situations, you start to get in over your head because you're like, this is like nothing. And then you're like, what? But yeah, so those are really pro moves, I think. That's why Mike was able to do that. He's such a nice guy, too.
yeah, yeah. You're absolutely right. I mean, I loved it. I loved being
Yeah.
that steeped in improv. So here's another improv moment you probably don't remember because it's nothing that grandiose. This is nothing like I feel like audience members probably remember that moment as well as me from when the lights, when you're like, no, no, no. So this isn't one of those moments, but I remember it, and you probably don't. So it's fine if you don't. But there was one of the early shows, and I think it was a close quarters. We were trying to do a close quarters, which I don't think we ever actually successfully
No,
did.
but you know what? Screw the timestamp.
Yeah. And we did. We did screw
And we
the
did.
timestamp.
Screw the timestamp.
So I don't know but I think it's the one where Greg ended up trying to smuggle snakes out and ended up dying because he was bitten by all the snakes he'd stuffed in his pants. There was and there was like a sword maybe too that stuffed down his pants or someone else's pants. Like his guy was just a klepto. And I think you and I we started a scene, and I don't know which one of us was which, endowed it like we were in the security room. But that's all we know. Or I don't even know if we know that yet. And you go, "Hey, what do you tell me what you see there in that screen?" And I'm thinking, Ian, I feel like you want something from me, and I really want to give it to you, but I don't know what you want me to see. So I say, "Zenith?" And you say, "No, the picture on the screen." And then I think I said something. You're like, "Not that screen." And then it's like, "Over here, this guy's doing something." It's like, I was like, "Oh yeah, 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 yeah."
See, I love that kind of stuff, man. I really do. Because that to me is the kind of stuff where you just have a choice at that moment. It's like, do we want to what do I want to pursue in this scene now? Because I probably did see something on the screen. I just how like you get into an improv scene and sometimes you're just like, oh, I guess I really wasn't that clear. Like, because you start seeing things, you're like, oh, I forget. You can't see the stuff I'm seeing. That's right.
Right, right.
Uh, you know, So I gotta lead you into it. Like I should have said, like, hey, what are these two? Look at those two guys on the screen.
Yeah.
That looks fishy, right? That's a way easier, it's a way better thing to say to Steven.
Well, and I feel like now, I feel like I'm a better improviser now, and I would have said something. I would just been like,
Right,
oh,
right.
it's I Love Lucy, or I don't know, it's something. And you're like,
Yeah.
why are you watching I Love Lucy? Turn it back to the.
And if it wasn't what I wanted, I feel like I'm a better improviser now. And if it wasn't what I wanted, I would have gone like, oh, wrong screen. I'm at this screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just now we throw that screen away.
Right. Right. Not there, here, where the guy's doing that, and then you would have explained it. Yeah. It's like, and not the moment, that the younger me was like, oh crap, I need to give Ian what he wants. No, just give Ian anything, and Ian will roll with it. It's fine. But in that moment, I was like, oh, I have to somehow figure out what Ian is thinking and tell him what he's seeing on the screen.
You know what I remember from the early show? I remember my favorite one is we did an early show at Graceland, and I don't remember who it was. I think it was Greg and somebody else were playing a couple of stoners that had like wandered away from the tour group, and they had gone up to the attic at Graceland where Elvis had been secretly living the entire time. That was so funny. Like to this day, I'm like, oh, I wish that was a TV show episode I could just go rewatch. That was so funny.
I have a Proustian question here, some questions I like to ask everybody. Ian, how do you get into the proper headspace to play?
I don't do any warm-ups. I hate them. What I do is I hang out and I laugh with my buddies who I'm going to do show with, and we start giggling and getting real relaxed. But the minute I have to circle up and do any kind of like group warm up these days, I don't mean to be impolite, but it's not, doesn't work for me. What works for me is just relaxing and not even thinking about the fact that I'm about to go do a show.
Yeah. Not having to get up is probably the best.
Yeah. Yeah. But just not even thinking about it.
Yeah. Ian, do you have a favorite get for?
I've always liked anything to do with relationships. Yeah, that's where I think I get the most inspired from, is give me, if you're going to give me just one suggestion, like how do we know each other? Let's start there.
And is that your favorite ask then? Do you have a favorite way to elicit that suggestion?
Honestly, when I ask for suggestions these days, usually what I'm doing is asking for a longer thing. Like I'll ask for almost like I'll do like almost like a mini Armando with whatever audience member I'm talking to. So I just ask them, like, I'll just ask the audience, like, has anyone here ever been afraid for their life? Or anyone here had a really exceptionally good week? Something like that. And then you just start interviewing them.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. And then just do a bunch of scenes inspired by that. And then when you get bored or run out of steam, just go talk to another audience member.
Yeah. I love the afraid for your life thing. That's I imagine that gets some interesting information.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Cause some of them, I don't have one on top of my head that I can think of, but those are the types of questions that I think elicit really good stories.
Yeah. Do you have a least favorite suggestion?
Pineapple.
Other people have said pineapple. Is there, like, is it just something you got a lot, or?
Because it's always pineapple, plunger, bathroom. I mean, these are all the same. Nah, I guess those three are just the ones you're like, all right, yeah. I mean, it's like, how many times it's like, then you go through in your 20s, you do your rebellious thing where you take bathroom and then you poop on stage, and then you go, there, you got what you asked for, audience member.
That serves you right.
Serves you right. But no, I don't really have anything that like bothers me in particular.
Were there any flavors of the week you can remember that were just because of what was going on in pop culture at the time, where you were just getting a lot of? I remember Shake Weight, for example. ShamWow happened quite a bit for a while.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Nothing's just jumping in there, but I'm sure there has been, because you just named two for sure.
For a good week or two, it was Tiger Blood.
Oh God.
And when I talked to Anna, her least favorite suggestion was taxidermy, which made me laugh a lot. But I was like, I might remember like a little run of taxidermy at SAC for some reason. But
yeah,
That wasn't her problem with it. Was like, I don't know a taxidermist. Nobody knows a taxidermist. Do you know a taxidermist? Who knows a taxidermist? Like, it was just something that's
Yeah,
like,
but you can narrow those things down. It took me a while, but this is how you can ask for it. Can I get an everyday, absolutely normal job? And then when someone goes taxidermy, go, ha, 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 okay, an everyday, absolutely normal job.
yeah.
That takes 10 years to learn how to do that.
Well, that my next question is, do you have a favorite
Yeah.
way to burn a suggestion that doesn't
Yeah.
inspire you?
You laugh, ha, 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 ha. Whenever the suggestion gets a laugh, burn it. That's my rule of thumb. If the suggestion got a laugh, there's no point in doing it in the scene. It's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ian, what do you look for in an audience volunteer?
Enthusiasm and someone who likes to play along. You want to avoid the person who wants to be the center of attention,
Yeah.
especially with moving bodies.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
first thing I think of is the worst audience member you can get is in moving bodies. Whack, whack.
A little drunk, a little overexcited.
Yeah.
Describe your onstage persona. How is onstage Ian different than offstage Ian or everyday Ian?
I think on stage Ian can get pretty loud, can be pretty energetic, also pretty deadpan and serious, about stuff. But I think off stage Ian, I'm pretty relaxed and very actually easygoing. And I really don't like to get worked up in real life, but I love getting worked up on stage.
Yeah.
But in real life, I don't.
How would you describe your relationship with the audience when you're out there?
I like to think of it as sort of like you just ride it like a wave. I don't know. I definitely feel like we're together in this whole experience. Like I love being, with the audience. You're definitely there's a part of you that's aware of what's going on, with the audience, but I'm on the audience's side for sure.
And one of the reasons I asked that is because you're one of those people that, in my mind, for a good part of when I was sharing the stage with you, had what I wouldn't. I mean, antagonistic isn't the correct word.
Yeah, I like to have an antagonistic relation.
Okay.
I like to play rough with the audience.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But I love the audience.
And that's what I'm going to say. Maybe like a parental sort of like
I
a.
hold them to a higher standard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I like that. Yes.
Yes.
And the thing is, like, you're also one of those people that can get away with it because when I talked to John, he's like, yeah, I can't, John Hunter, he's like, I can't swear on stage. Audiences hate it. John could never be that way with an audience because, there's just something about John. I don't think I could be that way with an audience, but it works so well for you because you chide them and they love you for it. When the way that you are with an audience, I couldn't do it without it seeming like, oh, did he just yell at us? Did he just insult us? But like you do it and they love you for it. You're like Don Rickles.
Oh, fun. That's a great compliment. I'll take that for sure.
You already kind of answered this, but Ian, what inspires you on stage?
The thing I'm looking for is that moment where you just get in the zone. So I think what I'm inspired by are people who are willing to play make believe so hard and so seriously that we're going to get into a zone and actually believe this shit.
You're going to see what's on that TV.
Yeah. That's what inspires me is people who want to play make believe that hard.
Is there anything that would shut you down or take you out of it on stage?
I get shut down when someone is not interested in exchanging, in bartering, looking good with me. Like, I'll help you look good. You help me look good. If you're not willing to have that exchange with me, and if I pick up that you're not willing to have that exchange with me, I will start to become a secondary or a tertiary character in that scene pretty quickly. Yeah. I'm not taking any risks with you.
I think you've also sort of answered this already, but in your estimation, what makes a good scene partner, if you could pinpoint a quality or two?
Yeah, someone who's just willing to play along, and just have a blast and play along with you no matter where the scene is going. So that if you both end up sinking in quicksand, you're at least going to laugh, right?
Is there any advice you'd give your younger self?
Yeah, the trick really is in listening. So don't worry about thinking. Don't worry about coming up with the best ideas you're ever going to come up with is because you listened really well.
Yeah. Is there a favorite type of character that you like to play?
Oh yeah, I love playing completely overconfident idiots.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's the best.
Is there a reason, like a why behind that, or
It's freeing.
yeah,
Imagine, because you see these people in real life, and I'm envious of them. The people who just walk through life like a bull in a china shop. I love it. I love it, and I'm just endlessly jealous of because I could never be like that. I would constantly, "Oh, did I break that? Ah, I'm such a clumsy bull," right? Like, but on stage, I was just like, "Nah, I'm walking through this china shop." It gives you permission to behave like that. It's really fun.
yeah. Ian, if you could do a scene with anyone alive, who would it be?
You know who'd be really fun to do a scene with is Bill Murray.
Yeah. Yep.
That'd be really fun.
Yeah.
That's who I'm gonna say. Bill Murray.
Approved. If you could do a scene with anyone who is no longer with us in the pantheon of people who've gone before, who would you do a scene with?
Because of our connection stuff, sure, it would be great to do another scene with Greg.
Yeah.
He was always fun to do scenes with, man.
Yeah.
Or John Belushi.
That would be a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it'd be fun to do. It'd be fun to see Greg again. That guy had something magical going on.
Absolutely. Last incarnation of this question. If you could do a scene with anyone fictional, who would it be?
How about Willy Wonka?
Can you trust him? That would be. Oh, he's singing again. I'm not a singer, Willie. You gotta. That would be great, though. Ian, what's most helpful from the booth?
Paying attention to what's going on and ending me on a high note.
Yeah. And if I open my mouth to say something, don't black
Yeah.
out until.
Yeah. Get me out on a high note. Yeah.
What would be least helpful from the booth? Just the opposite, or anything else?
To have not put the lights back up would have not been helpful. That would not have been helpful.
Yeah,
That would
yeah.
have made me look really bad. Yeah, I think what's least helpful too is, every once in a while you might get someone in the booth who is like, "Oh, I can make these improvisers react to whatever I throw out."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Hey, could you look, I know it's fun for you, but I'm like a person here trying to get through this show. Could you not like continually throw effects at me?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like hit me with a BB gun every time I open my mouth. You gotta stop. Gotta stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other than laughter, what audience sound do you revel in?
There's the kind of silence where and this is you get it in improv sometimes, but when I've done theater, there's a certain silence out there when you're having a very serious moment or when something's really landing, and you just know that it's a silence that's filled, right? It's not like a silence that's where it's like where you might hear someone shuffle their feet or sneeze, like no one's going to make a move. It's like that kind of silence,
Yeah.
right? That's really cool.
Yeah.
When you're experiencing that, because everyone's just like, what's going to happen? Yeah.
Where I thought you were going there for a second was there's a type of silence that doesn't happen all that much in improv, but it happens a lot in my stand up. Is there a quality or type of laughter that you appreciate more than others?
Oh yeah, the really spontaneous, the kind of laughter that you have memories of, right? Where you have laughed, you're laughing so hard, snot is pouring out of your nose. You're just crying, right? And it doesn't even matter what it is. You can't even speak to your friends, and every time you try to just relive what it is that was funny, you just break into laughter again. Those moments
Yeah.
are what you live for. Come on. Like, what do you get? Probably 20 of those in your life? Maybe 30?
Once a year for you, right?
Yeah.
30?
No, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Is there a sound the audience could make that would make you uncomfortable?
Yes, when they
Just like because they have a cold? Who gave that audience member a mic? Take that mic away from that guy. Ian, what is the worst venue you've played?
Oh, I did a biker bar in Daytona Beach, did an improv show that was sponsored by Krispy Kreme.
Was this for SAC or just its
No,
own
no.
thing?
This is when I'd been told I was diluting the quality of
Oh,
improv.
so you did this with them?
Yeah, I did this with them. We used to drive down to this biker bar and do improv, and it was sponsored by Krispy Kreme. That's what we got paid in. We got paid in Krispy Kreme coupons, and we just wanted the experience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the worst because the stage was built for music, so the stage was very very high, and the nearest seat to you was probably 20 feet away. So you're on this really high stage. Everyone's way way over there. Nobody has mics. It's maybe 15 people on a Tuesday night in Daytona Beach. But it was fun going down there. I don't remember a single thing from those shows other than the Krispy Kreme donuts.
Did you have to mention Krispy Kreme? "Hey, we're them, brought to you by Krispy Kreme donuts. Thanks for coming out to"
And no, but I think we did. I think we did though. Yeah.
were you interrupted occasionally by a bike pulling up or a bike leaving?
We were interrupted throughout the entire show. Like you didn't get to do a scene as soon as you're because that's the thing about, improv works best in a theater, a controlled environment. That's it. Trying to do it out there in the wild like that, you can't deal with a heckler when you're doing improv. You can't just stop your scene. When you're a stand-up, you can deal with the hecklers, but improv, you just look like a dork in front of all these bikers.
That did remind me of one other thing I wanted to ask you. Do you remember there was one this would have been early show, this would have been Amelia Street, and, it was pretty early on. I think we were still in the mid-form kinda section. We hadn't got to the long form section of early show yet, and there was a group, it was maybe, like, 2 men, 2 women,
Oh God, I knew you were going to bring this up.
because that's I mean, I could have kissed you after that show, because I lost it, and, we were doing whatever it was, and I don't know whether I was hosting, whether it was challenge or something that was doing, and I think I started, and I was like, "You guys gotta get out," and I'm not a confrontational kind of person, but I was like, You guys gotta go," and then it was just kinda silence, and I don't think they moved, and then you jumped right in, and you were like, "Get out of here," or whatever, and it's like, kick them the hell out.
I think what I said was, "What's your problem?
Yeah.
The entire theater wants you to go. Can't you feel it?
Yeah,
Leave.
yeah,
Nobody wants you here." And they sort of looked around and realized that nobody was on their side, and they slunk out.
yeah,
You remember that?
yeah. I was so relieved when it
And
happened.
then I said, "All right, guys, we're gonna bring the lights down and we're gonna start it all over. And this time I'm not gonna yell at anybody."
I was so thankful for you because it's like I couldn't follow. I wouldn't have been able to follow through like that.
Ugh.
I couldn't take it anymore, because it was such a small crowd to begin with, and so that was affecting so much more than it would have a large crowd where other people would have turned around and told them to shut up.
Ugh.
Ian, what's the best note or the best words of wisdom you've received?
Just play yourself on stage. 99% of the time, it'll be enough. Meaning, just walk and talk like yourself. You don't always have to put on funny voices. You don't have to walk, you know what I mean? You don't have
Yeah.
to be this giant cartoon character. Just if you walk and talk like yourself, start there. Just start there. That's some of the best advice I ever got.
What's the least helpful note you received? And if you haven't really received a least helpful note, what's the least helpful note you can conceive of?
Eh, The least helpful note is also the one that I wish would help more. is try to be funny. They say don't try to be funny,
Yeah.
right? That's the note, don't try to be funny. That note is the worst. That's the least helpful note, in my opinion. It says nothing because what else am I doing here? Of course I'm trying to be funny. In fact, when you see as much improv as I've seen and you've seen teaching, you'd like it if people would try harder and more often to be funny.
Yeah.
It's just what that means is the problem.
Yeah.
And finding what it is that makes you funny really probably has a lot to do with what makes you laugh, right? So, and if you haven't spent your life like from a little kid just obsessed with comedy, it's okay. You just probably aren't a comedian.
Yeah.
So, like, be honest with yourself too when you're, you know, just you know what I mean. That's the other thing. Be honest with yourself.
Yeah. I did need to leave the theater. I was being an ass. If there were an Academy Awards for everything improv, what would you be nominated for?
What would some like? I don't know the categories. I just make up a category.
Yeah, that's the like. What category would you be nominated for?
Best supporting improviser. I don't know. Best special effects improviser.
Doesn't have to be an actual Academy. Best costumes.
Best costumes. Look at my necktie. Look at my improv top hat.
Ooh.
I don't want to give myself an award, Steven.
No, you're just nominated. You're not going to win.
Okay, thank God. All right. I get nominated best use of the worst suggestion.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another in the same vein. If you were remembered 100 years from now for something improv related, what would you want it to be?
I'll answer it seriously. I'd like to be remembered. Hopefully, I'd be remembered by students that I had.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'd like to be remembered because that teaching the improv class is a lot about building confidence in people. Just they're trying something new, and so I'd like to be known as someone who is a thoughtful and caring teacher. That would be, and supportive teacher.
Yeah, I love it. Then this is kind of the last official question for the podcast. Is there anything I missed, or are there any other improv stories that you love to tell?
So I have one. It's like one of the worst things that could have ever happened. I when I was starting out and started to teach on my own and whatnot. I definitely had a couple of business partnerships or relationships that you start and you're like, okay, this is not going to work out, right? Like anything. And one person who I was currently in this relationship with was, and the relationship wasn't going very well. Let's just put it that way. I'm just putting some flavor and some context out there. And one of the reasons is because this person did a lot of corporate improv, and I just didn't think this person was very funny. And so I was just not asking this person to do shows with my friends and I. And then I realized that this person really wanted to do shows with my friends and I. And it was just one of those things where you're like, ah, all right. Because, like Joel McCrary said, it's about a fit. It's about a chemistry. And this just wasn't the right chemistry.
Yeah.
So, all right, fine. So you can come and play with us and we're going to do this Christmas show. So she comes in, does this scene. We're doing an Armando style show. And the story that had been told was about how Christmases in the 70s were dangerous. Like how Christmas trees could catch fire and they were burning down houses. And every year you'd hear stories of a family that had died at Christmas time. So Christmas could kill you. So the scene starts and it's four doctors in a hospital and they're performing surgery on someone. And that's just kind of setting up like a initial scene. And it's Christmas Eve, right? So that's all this stuff is being set up in the beginning of the scene. And this person who I really didn't want to play with us comes in and does exactly the kind of thing that I was like, great, thanks. So this person comes into the scene, barges into the scene, holding a baby. And this is what they say. They say, oh, someone left this dead baby out in the dumpster out there. And it's definitely dead. Yeah. And yeah. So, and so I bust into I'm like, because you can feel it. You can feel the audience like, what the fuck? Like you can feel it. And so I'm like, holy shit. So I bust into the scene. So, poof. And I'm, a third doctor. Boom. Did I hear dead baby? Not on Christmas Eve and not in my hospital. So I grabbed the baby out of her hand violently because now I'm going to like play along, right? So we grab the baby violently and we all start beating the baby, right? Right? We all start beating the baby until it comes back to life, right? This is how we save the scene, by the way. So we start beating the baby until it comes back to life, and then we save the baby, and the baby comes back to life. And then we start tossing the baby, and the whole scene becomes like, go long, right? And we're tossing the baby, but it's alive, right? Save the scene. We have a great scene, right? Later at the bar, she's like, so you like that move, huh? It was pretty cool, me coming in and with that dead baby. And I was like, yeah, no, don't ever, ever enter a scene like that ever again if I ask you to do a show. She's like, well, I just knew everyone was a good enough improviser there and they could handle it. And it's like, yeah, well, how about you just don't put it to the test and we just have a good show? Yeah, I mean, to her point, it is a scene I remember. And I did have fun throwing that baby around. But it was a terrible move. And it's kind of like, read the room.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That's the worst kind of improviser. Yeah.
That's it for my interview with Ian. Check out his IMDb if you want to see him in action and can't hunt him down in Atlanta to see him live or take classes from him at the Atlanta Conservatory or wherever else he may be teaching. Check out my Patreon for bonus content, and wherever you are, go see some live theater, some sketch comedy, some improv, and if you can't find any, start your own group. The arts need you. So long, and thanks for listening to Improv Autopsy.